I think we are just about live. Welcome back. This is probably going to be a short stream, but I wanted to hop on just to make sure that I'm committed to my promise of bi-weekly Sunday or Saturday streams. So we're going to maybe go over a couple topics, continue to work on some existing scripts. I'm going to try not to once again reveal too much, but hope you enjoy. The first topic I guess we can talk about is our handy dandy AI script, and I'll show you what that looks like right about now. You've seen this in a few other videos actually, but if we go ahead and type in /plain test and hit enter, you'll see that it spawns in one of these and it takes off. I'm hoping the frame rate isn't as bad as I'm seeing. If it is, I'll fix it in the next stream. It's actually Shocker. That shouldn't have disappeared. Funny. Interesting. Yeah, so this is essentially a script that allows us to control planes, or control AI planes here. Still a few bugs to be worked out, clearly, in the logic, but yeah. Let's go ahead and, I don't remember what the command is. I think it's, what, plain test, what am I saying? I made this, plain test, and I believe it's the vehicle name. So you can say something like Luxor 2, and then if you want to be a passenger as well. Yeah, that's about correct. So yeah, basically with a few lines of code, we're able to control whether or not a plane goes straight or does not, turns or does not, etc., etc., etc. This thing's taking off like a rocket. Yeah, and with a little bit of practice and some code refining here, we'll be able to essentially make some sort of objective-based tasks here. So imagine this isn't just a private jet taking off from an airport, but instead it's like, I don't know, like a private jet you have to protect in a fighter jet, right? Like a laser. Or it's a plane that you have to destroy, right? Or whatever the case is, right? Basically, this is something that I will be using very heavily on all things flight, whether it's in missions or mini games or whatever the case is. So, just wanted to share that. With that out of the way, I guess we can go ahead and continue. let's go. Let's see, we're gonna stall here. No way. Anyway. Yeah, so let's go ahead and basically pick it back up where we left off. Resources. So last we were working on our lovely little flight manager, and basically we're gonna sort of just pick it up off of that. Actually, I think that's pretty much done for now. I mean, otherwise we can just work on our vehicle spawner, either a vehicle spawner or continue work on our AI script, which I still have a couple of things to work on, but we'll do our vehicle spawner. That's simple, straightforward. So we are going to basically go and increase the font here. Take it from 10 to, say, 18. Hopefully that's not too ridiculous. Yeah, that's fine. We have client set up. Actually, I really don't want to show that, but security by obscurity is not security. Oh, fuck it, we'll see it. Alrighty. Basically, this is simple implementation. It's just a server-sided vehicle spawner, which I will be cleaning up later as well, but yeah, this is us. Essentially, we want to be able to reference a few things. I'll go over this. I don't mind. For now, it's probably the probably the most basic car spawner you've seen, but essentially we have a couple of variables that we gather here, some flags, some player information, etc. Another flag. We have a table. Essentially what we're doing is managing player-related spawn tables here. And if the vehicle is found, then... Sorry, getting ahead of myself here. Not good at this off-the-cuff live streaming stuff. But basically, long story short, what we are doing here is we have a table full of player information. It's something like this, and it stores all sorts of information about the player, about the car that they're trying to spawn, and yeah, a little bit more information, some timestamps, number of cars requested, etc., etc. But yeah, so we have a table here, and the idea is that every time a player wants to spawn a car, or a plane or vehicle or whatever, we reference this table, and then we update this table as well. So, for example, we'll go down, and you'll see, I'm trying to figure out where the best place to observe this is. Okay, so this is a good starting point. So we have a for KV in pairs. You can ignore this if you're not very familiar with Lua, but it's basically a search. We look in the table at a certain position in that table for the player name, and if the player name is not found, then we basically create a new entry in the table. So think of it like your contact information, right, in your phone. If you look up a phone number of a person that you know and they're not in there, what do? You create that. So that's basically what we're doing here. And I'll sort of just glance over this. Like if the position in the table is not equal to the keyword that we're looking for, then the player wasn't found. Otherwise, we say that the player was found. So I'll stop talking about that. Moving on. Yeah, this is basically stuff to determine if the player was found. What are we going to do, et cetera, et cetera. So if found is not equal to true, so if the player wasn't found, we have a new player table that we're basically just inserting information into. So the player name, the player ID, the number of cars spawned, and the timestamp as well. Yeah. And then a few other things as well. And then we basically use this to insert it into the table. Sorry, I'm rambling. I not used to having a viewers on here. Hello, one person. I don't know who you are, but thanks for stopping by. Okay, so let's go ahead and essentially continue what we're doing by looking up the table. And I actually made some notes on my other machine, so I'm going to go ahead and grab that really quickly. I will be right back. Alrighty, I am back. Sorry about the delay there. Yeah, so we are, for anyone who we have 2 viewers. That's actually kind of insane. That's huge for me. Anyway, if you are just checking in, we're working on a pre-alpha vehicle spawner for the server. It's going to be something basic. I shouldn't be showing you this because then in theory you can learn how to basically attack this, but I don't really believe in the philosophy of security by obscurity. There are reasons for obscurity, but keeping your data safe shouldn't be one of them, because eventually secrets get out. And yeah, I think someone referred to it as it shouldn't be used as a suit of armor, but it should be used for some degree of protection. So anyway, I'm going to show you basically the idea of what I have in mind for this vehicle spawner. It's basically where a player enters /spawn car, and then the name of the card that they want to spawn, and that sends that information via this trigger server event to the server. And then the server is basically going to run checks to make sure that the player's doing what they should be doing and not doing anything kind of weird or stupid or in violation of any, like, you know, code rules or cooldown rules or whatever the case is. So, yeah, basic stuff here. We're actually going to pull. We're actually going to pull that up as well. Right. Okay, so let's pull back up the server.lua here. And long story short, yes, I'm using Vim. 3 people. Okay. You guys are killing me here. I feel like George Clooney over here. No, I'm joking. Yeah, so basically we are going to first go in and make sure that our all clear flag is true. And if it is, then we'll do stuff with it. So we'll go ahead and start with that. And I usually like to start with the cases that I want to throw away first. True then. And then we say something like, you know, print. And this is something that prints to the server log. Hey there, there's something wrong. Player tried to spawn a vehicle violating a policy. Right. Basic stuff here. And then we can actually trigger this event back to the client, which kind of unnecessary, but I enjoy it. Error, you've spawned. Error, something went wrong. We could say something went wrong with the player spawn attempt. Please try again later. All right. And then we can go return out of this function. Otherwise, we can say something like if player spawn table at index found index at index 6 is equal to, or is it equal to nil, then this is basically where we want to let's say we want to delete the vehicle. So we'll say delete me equals, and then this is where we run this is where we run the delete me native, which I can bring up if you're curious what a native is. 5M natives. Actually, if you're interested in 5M programming, I did make a comment. 5M forums, how to script. Here. And I will link that in the chat because I wrote this myself and I actually use this method to learn. So, yeah, if you're curious about posting or scripting, I talk about a whole bunch of stuff in there. One of the things I talk about is the concept of natives, which is a fancy word for functions that make your GTA game do cool shit. And there is a list of the cool shit here on 5M's doc site. So I'll paste that there. And I'll show you, for example, we could say get player location or get entity. I think it's entity chord. Right, if you want to get the player's location, or if you wanted to make a car go like super fast, for example, there's something called set vehicle forward speed, and basically these do a bunch of cool different things. And I can show you a quick example of one of the cool things that this does. I'm getting very distracted, but doesn't matter. It's cool. So let's say you are a part of the military branch here, and I'll spawn this here. So you're part of the military branch and you are on an aircraft carrier. Right. Okay. This is made by Skyline GTR Freak, by the way, if you're curious. But let's say you're on an aircraft carrier and you wanted to launch off of some area like this. Well, that native set vehicle forward speed actually can simulate the effects of a catapult by launching your plane forward from 0 to whatever speed you're looking at in a matter of like milliseconds. So I will show you what that looks like really quickly. Whoa. Okay. So I made a script and it's called set vehicle forward speed. So let me see if I can start that. And to run it in game, we would do a command called launch, basically. I don't know why I'm sliding to the side. It's probably because the ship is doing a lot of bobbing. Anyway, we'll do /launch. We'll say 5 seconds. And in 5 seconds, we will get launched. There you go. It's a cool little sort of experience here based off of a couple of like simple lines of code. So for those of you with an imagination, you can already see where this sort of thing would be going. Anyway, enough distractions. Back to the code. Okay, so we're basically going to make a variable of the vehicle that we want to delete associated with the player table in question. So we'll go ahead and set it to this, and we will say delete entity, which is a native that we are going to be using. We can also print something here. Say log deleted entity for player, and we'll call it found index. Cool. And after we delete the vehicle, we're going to also want to spawn it, which I believe is just create vehicle. If you're wondering what delete vehicle looks like this. So delete vehicle and then the vehicle that you want to delete. And similarly, or it's delete entity, sorry. Delete entity. Then the entity you want to delete. So they could be cars, trains, people, whatever. Similarly, we can do create vehicle, and it takes a bunch of different arguments here. So model hash and the location, the heading is networked, and then net mission entity, which is whether or not to register the vehicle. It's pinned to the script, host, and the network model. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to use that right now. I will eventually. Yeah. So we're going to do create vehicle, and we'll say get hash key, which is another native, right? And then we're going to pass in the name of the vehicle that the player wants to spawn, which is requested V. Okay. Oops. Requested vehicle. Cool. So that's the first argument. And then we're going to give it X coords, Y coords, and Z coords. So I kind of want to just do the player's location, which is stupid because it's going to spawn inside the vehicle, the player's vehicle. I'll fix it later. There's a way to fix that. But yeah, we'll just do the player's location. Play coords. And that actually covers the XYZ, the heading, which is 0.0. And we're missing one more thing, is network, which we'll say true. Now we do need a way up here to basically make sure that the vehicle that the player tried to spawn is legit. That'll basically keep our code a little bit more secure, prevent anyone from just being able to spawn in something. This doesn't really matter in the context of my own code, but in case there's like some sort of weird vulnerability within GTA 5, this is something that would sort of make sure that only valid vehicles can be spawned. So I'll make a note to myself to add security measure to prevent non-vehicles later in this spot. Cool. Vehicle spawned. There's a couple of other things that we have to worry about when it comes to spawning server-sided vehicles, especially when you want them to persist. So when a player disconnects, basically, the vehicle doesn't disconnect or disappear either. That I found on a forum post somewhere, so I'm going to go ahead and do a little search for it. Can't remember if it was... let me see. 5M spawn vehicles server sided persistent. It's not this one. Yes, this one. Orphan natives and yes. So what we'll do is we'll actually set entity orphan mode. That is exactly what I'm looking for. That's the one. So this set entity orphan mode takes an entity, which can be a vehicle, player, whatever. We want to set this for vehicle. You might be wondering, hey, why the heck is or how can we spawn it with an entity when we just created one? We don't have the name of one. Well, this is where a concept called handles come in. It's basically where you assign the creation of something, basically a nickname, or you assign it to a variable. So we'll say new v equals this. So now whenever I want to do something with this car, this entity, this newly created vehicle, I can just reference new v. Very cool. So we'll do that now. Set entity orphan mode. And we'll say new v. And we'll set the mode to it's an integer, so no decimals. And keep entity, which is 2. Cool. So set that to 2. If it's found, actually, now that I'm looking at the sequence of this, I don't need to put this underneath this particular branch. I could just end it and continue to spawn the vehicle here. Lovely. And then I'll add an else. Actually, we don't even need an else here. Basically saying if the player previously spawned a vehicle, then delete the vehicle. But since everything else is going to happen anyway, we don't need this. And in fact, we'll have to adjust this line here as well. Awesome. Let's see. Jeez, you guys must really be bored this Saturday evening. No, but seriously, thanks for tuning in. I'll show you guys one more cool thing related to AI flying at the end of this. I wasn't going to show it, but I got a whole audience here tonight. I might as well perform for you guys, right? Cool. So set entity orphan mode is where we're going. And by the way, I specified this the last stream. I am in no way, shape, or form a programmer. I call myself like a scripter at best. So this code is probably screaming at some of you more experienced programmers and things of that nature, but I'm just trying to go as basic and as quick as I can to the finish line, and then I can optimize later. There's tools I can use to optimize it. Yeah, so set entity orphan mode. I'm pretty sure that's it. Despawn of old car, load existing, update values. Right, we have to update the player spawn table. So as it stands, we already despawned the old car too, so right. As it stands right now, based on the example I showed above, the player spawn table is this guy here, right? So it basically has the search type, which is whether or not I'm using a database-based player, or if I disable the database for this time. Player name, player server ID, number of cars requested previously, the timestamp, which is time since epoch, and the last car entity ID as well. That's based on theory. Based on practice, we can go visit that as well and actually... Oh my goodness gracious. Sorry. Just a mess right now. Based on a practice, we have... what is this? We have a search, we have player name, we have source. I'm actually gonna... okay. Let's go back up. Try that one more time. Okay. So this line I just pasted here, painfully, was what we had in theory. So let's compare that to what we have in practice. First index is search. P name is player name. Good. Source is player server ID. Good. 1. Good. Number of cards requested in the last threshold, which is 1. And then the timestamp. And there's no last car entity ID for new players. So we basically ignore that last field there. So what we're going to do is we're basically going to do a couple of things. One, we have to update this value, which I made a little precursor before on the bottom. I'll show you in a second. And two, we have to add the last car entity ID to the end of this list. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So basically it's at the sixth index, which is what we were working with before, right? The fifth index is the timestamp, so current TS timestamp, right? And so on and so forth. Hopefully this is making sense to you guys. But if not, don't worry. Cool. So set entity orphan mode. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to say, basically, this was the little bookmark I set. Player spawn table at index 4, which is how many cars have been requested recently. It's equal to the same thing plus 1. And we also want to say player spawn table at found index 6 is equal to new v. And now that we're basically done here, we want to end it, end here. And we can even do a couple more logs just for the sake of it. We'll say log player, comma space, and then we'll say pname. Just successfully spawned a vehicle. And we can say, go even further, message player, and we can say vehicle spawned. Awesome. Okay. And we end it. This is basically the first time that I'm going to be testing this, so it's probably going to have bugs. It's probably going to error out. Who cares? I don't care. Doesn't matter. But let's do it. Let's do it live. See what's going on. We're going to start pre-alpha v spawner. And we will hit enter. There's our first error. Okay. So it's in client Lua. We have an error towards the word function. Let's see what syntactical error mistake I've made. I always love finding bugs because it means that I get to learn something. So function handler. Also, it's been a while since I've registered command, so I might need to reference another one of my older files, which we can do. Oh yeah, localizer, sure. Localizer client.lua and register command. Just gonna cross compare and make sure I didn't miss a character or something stupid. Looks good. Oh, of course. It's always the small stuff. Anyway, let's go ahead and restart that. Oh, wow, that worked. Okay, so that was the only syntactical error. So we're going to do /spawn car space, and we will do the name of the car as well. We could test out this code block by basically spawning something outside of this range. So if the number of arguments that I pass is more than 0, is equal to 0 or more than 1, then we basically print an error, which Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, that is correct. So, for example, if I say /spawn car with no arguments, it's going to print the error because it's 0. If I say /spawn car with 1 arguments, it's going to basically do the right thing here because it's not greater than 1. And if we say /spawn car with 2 arguments, so /spawn car space Lamborghini space Ferrari, then we'll print the error here because the number of arguments is more than 1. Straightforward stuff, right? So let's go ahead and see what the heck kind of errors are going to happen during runtime. Jeez. Okay. Here we go. So, jeez. All right. Let's see. We'll do spawn car space Blista. Okay. So we got an error here. And I'll share with you what that error says. I'm just going to copy and paste it into a handy dandy notepad here. So basically we have error. This requires a session manager and a valid player ID and a session ID to run correctly, returning error to player. So I get this error I set it up so that this error would basically trip if I have database mode enabled. So either I have database mode enabled or I didn't measure that correctly. So we're going to go ahead and actually take a look at that. Vim server.lua. And we can say /session manager to look for that error. And there we go. So you can see, don't worry about the mid, but basically I'm saying if the database player exists, then we're going to try to look for that database player. But I shouldn't have that set because I'm not using a database right now. Use DB. So there it is. This is why the error happened. Variable to decide if we're going to use the player's master ID to attribute data. So we're basically going to go ahead and delete that and set it to false. And we're going to restart the server or the resource and try it again. Awesome. So we have another error, which is this here. Share with you a notepad. Let's make the font a little bigger. So pre-alpha vehicle spawner, attempt to index a nil value. So field question mark. So we'll go to line 100, which is 3J. If player spawn table at index 6 is equal to nil. Yes, because it doesn't exist. Oh, right. So basically we can say if not. It's basically the same thing. It's just a shorthanded version of it. And what this says is if the player found or player spawn table at found index is equal to or at index 6, so basically the vehicle entity ID is 0 if that value is 0, or if it's nil, or if it doesn't exist, then do something else. Right? I wonder if this will work because technically this doesn't exist in the table, but we're telling it to look there. Let's find out. Okay, and spawn car Blista. Okay, no, that didn't work. So we got the same error message. So what we can do instead is when we create the new player spawn table instance, we can basically we could try to add a nil value here and see if that works. Also didn't work, but that's okay. We can replace it with a string nil. And we can go back and say, if it's equal to, or if it's not equal to the keyword nil, then blank. So we'll restart it and spawn car. Interesting. Same error message. That's correct. Attempt to index a nil field value. Oh, I misinterpreted what this meant. So attempt to index a nil field value. Basically, how I'm indexing this is wrong. It's either the found index is not correct or the number 6 is making it confused. So what I can do is I'll go ahead and let's print found index. Cool. And we can even go a step further and we'll say something like found index, comma space. Lovely. And let's try it again. Okay. And I'll do that here. Spawn car. And we'll say Blista. Restart. Spawn car Blista. Okay. So yeah, you'll see found index is nil. That's not a good thing because we're relying on the found index as a sort of a bookmark to see what position of the table the player's in. What the heck did I say? That sounds like a whole bunch of mumbo jumbo. Let me show you really quickly. So in theory, eventually, what we'll see, set this to 18. Eventually, what we'll see is a bunch of players on the database or on the server. Whenever they spawn a car, they're going to be entered into this database. So it's going to be like player 1, and we'll say like eggs, bacon, cheese, potato, potato, tortilla. Player 2, say shrimp, spaghetti, cream, cilantro, butter, player 3, and so on and so forth, right? So the found index is basically which position in the overlapping table this player is in. So think of this whole thing as holding player information. So within this table are 2 individual tables. Hopefully that makes sense. But the found index is like what position? Is it position 1? Ugh. Is it position 1? It's a little better. I'm not good at arrowing right now. Is it position 1 or position 2 in the table? That's all we're basically referencing. So the error here is that there is no found index, and I think I know why that is. Yes. Okay. That is exactly why. So when we're looking in the area for a found index, we're basically trying to see if there's an existing player in there, in the table, in the group of tables, so to speak. But if there isn't one, we basically create the table, but we still do nothing about the found index, right? So what we should do is we basically want to set found index afterwards to the position in the table. So like basically I'll give a better example. That didn't sound like an English sentence there. So let's say we're going down the code, blah, blah, blah. Is a player in there? Player's not found. So we skip this whole little block here. And then we get to this section here. Right? When we create the player, so we say new player info is equal to this brand new table with all this beautiful, lovely stuff here. When we insert it in to the table, so let's call this player 3. And we'll say player 3. And this time we'll say ribs, barbecue sauce, mustard. For some reason, people put mustard on barbecue, mac and cheese, etc. When we insert this new player into the table, we still have to update and say, hey, this newly inserted player is in here at the position 3, right? So we have to update the position here. So what we can do, is right. We'll say this may be susceptible to bugs, but I'll find out the better way to do this later. But basically, what we'll say is found index equals the count of the player spawn table. Right? It's a little bit of a trick. It's like, since we inserted it in, the third value into the table, then whatever the total table length is, in this case 3, that's going to be where the thing you're looking for is. It's going to be the last thing you've inserted at the table. If you're using Python, it would be like a table at index -1 or something like that, right? It would be like the last value in the table. But yeah, this should help us here. So now we can actually move on and try to respawn our car. Let's try it. Fingers crossed here. Let's see. Okay, we got another error. Try to headline 111. That is. Oh, there's something wrong with this guy here. Interesting. Interesting. So we have an error at line 111. But before that is the spawn vehicle. So we should see a vehicle spawned somewhere. But I don't see it. Oh, and I know exactly why. Requested vehicle is not a quote. If we wanted to, we can do, let's see, Blista. Sure, why not? Restart it. Try it again. This time we're going to rename it. Since we hard-coded the word Blista into it, it doesn't matter what we type here. We're going to say, I don't know. Hi, viewers. Hi, viewers. Hello, hello. There's our handy-dandy vehicle spawner. And that actually explains the error that we got here, which is, hopefully this isn't anything in my, it doesn't matter. Tried to access an invalid entry. What is an invalid entry? Well, the invalid entry happened because the vehicle didn't exist at that point. So it tried to set the orphan mode for a vehicle that didn't exist. So what I'll do is I'll just undo the change here. We'll remove those quotes and we should be good to go. Let's find out. We're going to go ahead and go in here. We're going to go ahead and restart. And we're going to go ahead and say, let's actually delete this. Delete. Yes, please. Okay. Now, moment of truth. Here we go. Spawn car, space. I like the, what's the good plane? I love the Vestra. Vestra is a good, fun little turbo plane. So VSTRA. 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. There we go. Now, obviously, I'm clipped in because I chose my own coordinates to spawn the vehicle. But there we go. I wonder if we got any error messages here. No? Actually, I think so. I think we did. I think we got the same error on set entity orphan mode. I wonder if I could delete this. Yes, I can. Cool. Okay, so let me restart it, and I'm going to run one more test just to see if that is the case. Yeah. Try to access invalid entry, blah, 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 blah. I wonder why that is. Maybe... Okay, maybe we should wait, like, I don't know, 500 milliseconds. It's half a second. Maybe that will ensure that the entity gets registered. I don't think that's the case. I feel like there's like some sort of entity conversion that we have to do. FiveM natives are so weird when it comes to that stuff. Let's see, entity. Get entity. Get entity model, entity orphan mode. Script, speed, type, velocity, game pool. Source of death. Nice. Remote sync. Task, go to entity. That's cool. Does entity exist? Perfect. Let's try that. We'll go ahead and do, we'll print that. Let's see what happens when we print that. Print, does entity exist? Does entity exist? And the entity in question is new vehicle. Right? And we'll also say, does E exist? Question mark, colon, space, terminate, and comma. And, geez. Let's try this again. We'll use a different plane this time. What is a different plane? Mattis, sure. Spawn car, Mattis. Pretty. Now let's see if we get the error. No, we didn't. Interesting. I think it was actually the 500 millisecond delay. Interesting. Okay. And I'll show you what I see. So here is the snippet from the console. We have using player name for searches. Don't care about that. Just inserted player into the spawn table. Don't care about that. Found index. We fixed that, so we don't really care about that. Does entity exist? 1. And then we have this. Before, we were getting the sequence that led up to... basically, it's the same thing. So, no need to check for last spawns, found index, and then we get the error, right? But now, we have the thing. So that means, in theory, I should be able to disconnect from the server. Fingers crossed here. should be able to disconnect from the server, reconnect to the server when it shuts down. And that same vehicle should be in the same spot, which is actually kind of cool because by default, it clears out these vehicles to save on resources. Come on. There we go. Hopefully the audio isn't too overbearing. I know last time I had a bad situation with very loud game audio. Just learning OBS software, guys. Bear with me. But let's go back to Fort Zancudo, right back to the runway, and oh, notice how the Vestra is no longer here, but the Mamatus is. That is phenomenal. It also means we're going to have to make, make changes to make sure that the vehicles don't get spawned and left on the runway, for example. But with our airport manager code, that shouldn't be as big of a deal. So let's turn on our handy dandy engine. This is exciting because this is like pretty much the only thing I wanted to have ready for you guys. For the alpha version of ATF. But now that it's done, I just got to figure out which server hoster I'm going to use. Yeah. All right, V1, let's go. Yeah, it's a pretty takeoff. I love this plane specifically just because you have to manage your speed. If you pitch back too far, you basically make yourself make yourself susceptible to stalling. So you basically have to do a lot of energy management, basically, which is reflective of real life. Not one-to-one, but, you know. Anyway. Cool. So that's a short stream. I told you I did want to show you guys something really cool. I will go ahead and pull that up in the background for you. Just give me like 5 seconds. For me to do this, I have to basically pull up my my coordinates here. Show coords. Actually, I'll show you two cool things. All right, so the first cool thing is I basically made a turn measure which helps determine the turning rate of a given airplane based on speed, based on roll angle, all that fun stuff. It's said that when you are in a traffic pattern, so let's say we're flying here in maybe not here. Let's say we're flying to the traffic pattern here in the LAX or LSIA or whatever the heck you want to call it. Let's say we're flying here. I'll pick a more powerful airplane actually as well. Let's do the let's do the E145. The Embraer or whatever you want to call it. Start E145 and E145. This was made by a person named Recon. Really cool guy. I'm going to turn this down a little bit, just a touch. Hopefully it's not as obnoxious. It's a touch more. Oh yeah, this was made by a player named Recon. Really, really talented aircraft designer, converter, whatever the heck you want to call it. Anyway, this script is called Turn Measure. It's probably not going to be visible to you guys unless it's in some sort of built-in indicator, but it's said that a turn at, I believe it's 2 degrees per second, gives you around a minute or something like that. Hold on, I'll have to do. Let me pull up that that thing so I'm not misinterpreting or misremembering this. Standard turning rate aircraft. That's it. 3 degrees per second. Okay. Completing a 360-degree circle in exactly 2 minutes. Right? Yeah, I don't like AI stuff, but whatever. Exactly 2 minutes. And you can see where they pulled it from. Sorry. Exactly 2 minutes. What the heck does that have to do with GTA? Well, let me show you something very cool. We're going to start our resource. I think it's called, yes, it's called Turn Measurer. Turn. Awesome. This is ugly. I know. It's intrusive. It's right in your face. Who cares? What does matter, though, I'm going to turn the time on. Set it to day. Get a little blinded here. Okay. What does matter, though... I'm so distracted right now. Sorry. 30 left. What does matter, though, is the idea that if we follow this turn rate, we should be at around... Oh, that is ugly. Should be at around 2 minutes for a full 360-degree turn. Right? So let's say you are flying in this traffic approach or this traffic pattern here. And we'll make it night just so you can actually read what's on the screen. So let's say you're flying this traffic pattern here, and air traffic all of a sudden tells you, hey, we need you to make a standard rate right turn before continuing, just to give some space between you and the person in front of you. So basically, we would turn, and I'm going to try to maintain a consistent 3 degrees here. It's actually very hard considering like altitude loss, because I have to basically juggle my altitude, my speed, my turn rate. Oh, geez. I forgot to time. Okay, let me start over. I know. I wanted to set up a stopwatch. Just I totally forgot the. Okay, anyway, we'll say stopwatch. Okay, and let's try this one more time. Pretty sure this is the last time. All right, so flying straight, blah, blah, blah. I already set up the scenario for you. Traffic pattern, whatever. You're just minding your own business. Jeez, give me some speed here. You're minding your own business, you know, set up for the approach, decent angle, whatever. But then you get instruction from air traffic to perform a standing rate turn. So we'll go ahead and start the stopwatch, and we'll begin the turn as soon as we go back in the game. So, I'm going to try to keep her at 400 meters. The z-axis on top is in meters. I'm already doing a terrible job of maintaining altitude and turn rate. But we'll pretend I'm not. At this point, I'm not even paying attention to what's on the screen behind me. I'm just trying to focus on the turn rate and the z-axis above. And I'm applying no thrust whatsoever, by the way. Like zero. Absolutely nothing. It's right about the halfway point. Already some lost altitude, which probably gave me a little bit of extra speed, so I'm gonna pitch back again. Okay, beautiful. Nice and easy. Oh, we got 4 people on. What the heck? We're wrapping up here, 4th person, but thank you for tuning in. I'm going to stop the stopwatch as soon as I get back into the pattern. I lost so much altitude as well. Jeez Louise. Okay. All right, I'll time it here. Literally 2 minutes on the dot. Now, it wasn't a perfect circle, right? There were some mistakes that I made. Let's turn off this stupid turn measure. Stop. There were some mistakes that I made, right? Lost altitude, wasn't really playing with the thrust. I had it at idle. Gained speed, of course, so it extended out the circle, right? It wasn't just like a sort of perfect circle. Here, it wasn't like a perfect potato. It was more like a circle with some speed and a little bit of speed and like some slow down sections and whatnot. So wasn't the perfect circle, but you get the point, right? This is like a real sort of aviation topic of a standard rate of turn, and we're able to implement this in game, right? Whether or not we're using it for players, there's still practical value. We can use it to basically make turns consistent with our sort of AI planes. We can use it for ATC instructions. We can use it for all sorts of in-game applications. So it's really exciting, really cool thing. There's also some other stuff in there I had, which was like, what was it? Turn radius and a bunch of other stuff, which this is turn radius in feet for you non-American people out there. But yeah, that was the first cool thing I wanted to show you. The second cool thing I want to show you is let's exit out of here. Yeah, we're good. Second cool thing I wanted to show you is I actually need to pull this to the side to show you the second cool thing. Where am I in game, you might be wondering. Let me pull that up while I had a runaway situation going on here. Let's go back. That's right. Okay. So we are going to actually stop the plane here. We're going to point it over the city, and we're going to run a command here, flight est, where we specify an x, 2220.06, a y, which is negative 2648.48, and a z, 751.37. And I feel like I'm missing the vehicle name, which is the 6th argument. Okay, that's okay. Yes, heading. So there's our XYZ, right? We need our heading, which in our case is 46.13. And whether or not we want to be a passenger, I'm going to set it to true. And the vehicle, we'll do another E145. And I'm going to go ahead and delete this plane here. And we're going to start through the resource, I call it test AI. Oh, there's a bug in there somewhere. What? Syntax error of sorts. 94. 94. I feel like my guy's gonna die. Oh no, he didn't die. Oh, cool. So 94. VP counter. A syntax error near end. No. Was it just that? There we go. Okay. Yes, it was. Sorry. Jeez. Didn't realize I had made changes to that. Anyway, so now we're going to go ahead and hit enter and... Okay. You might be wondering like, oh, what the heck is this? Oh, this is weird. Oh, crap. There's no way to set the... Let me do a different vehicle. Let's restart this. Let's do... sheesh. We'll say 737 Max 9. Better. Okay, so you might be wondering what the heck this is. Well, this is just more debug stuff that I've been working on, but basically, to expand upon the AI navigation conversation, this is a way for me to control AI planes in real time. So let's say MP1, and then we'll say, what is it, LT, and then we specify a heading. So we'll say 300. So I'm able to make the plane climb, descend, left turn, right turn, blah, 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 in real time, which is pretty cool. So yeah, that was the thing that I wanted to show you. It's pretty dope, pretty fun, pretty exciting. But yeah, in the background, I'm actually working on this. I have a way to basically make these planes go left and right and up and down. The hard part, though, is getting it to align with certain ground tracks. So, for example, look at this line, this runway extended center line out here. I have no way as of today to make it align with that particular center line, right? But I did find, actually, you'll be surprised, I found a NASA write-up that talks about calculating the necessary turn radius to be able to fulfill such a ground turn. So still have to, I don't know if it's valid or not, I'm still playing with the implementation, the equations of it, but this might be a way for us to solve this problem. So yeah, that's about it. I'll leave you with that note, and I wonder if there is a way to actually wonder if there's a way to actually see this on the ground here. We'll say 255. We will basically end it there. Stay tuned. We will be able to all sort of fly together soon. I was thinking maybe we can do like some sort of air show of some sorts, as like a christening of the server. But yeah, that is it. Let's do maneuver plane ID1. We'll say DC1, and then we'll say cancel task 1, and we'll spam this. That's basically it. Just spamming this. See where he goes. That's basically it. So thank you guys for watching, and watch this guy's demise here. Thanks for watching, and hey, I'll see you in the skies, right? Thanks for tuning in.